What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be doing another NASCAR silly season update where I'll recap everything that's happened for the 2024 to 2025 NASCAR silly season. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Let's begin by talking about Stewart-Haas Racing. It was confirmed about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago that Stewart-Haas Racing will officially be shutting down at the end of 2024. After a lot of success in winning championships in the NASCAR Cup Series and winning a championship in the Xfinity Series as well, they will no longer exist in the NASCAR Cup Series. All the drivers and teams will be looking for jobs going into 2025. It's a shame, but Stewart-Haas Racing will be leaving the sport at the end of 2024. Now let's talk about Honda. Throughout the early portion of this year, there's been rumors speculating that Honda could be joining NASCAR as early as the 2026 season, but it sounds like they now could be as early as 2027. They're looking to come with NASCAR only with a new hybrid system. NASCAR is looking at a hybrid system to the current Cup Series next-gen car, and Honda is very interested. We could see teams like Chip Ganassi Racing return to Cup Series or Andretti Global perhaps come in, even though they're going to be working with GM very heavily with their Formula One project. But Honda is very interested in joining NASCAR. Now let's talk about Martin Truex Jr. There's a lot of talk around Martin Truex Jr. in his future past 2024. There was some speculation he was going to make announcements sometime this week. We still do not know what he's going to be doing for 2025. Early in the year, I thought Martin Truex Jr. might retire at the end of the year, but I'm starting to think that Martin Truex Jr. is going to come back in 2025 and continue driving the number 19 car next year. It's still hit or miss on whether he'll be back next year or he'll retire at the end of this season. Then at the Daytona 500, some speculation that DJ Khaled is interested in joining NASCAR. He was supposed to be, I think, the pace car driver for this year's Daytona 500, and it seems like he's interested in joining NASCAR. If Honda finds a way to get into the sport, I could see DJ Khaled using that as a getaway to get into NASCAR. DJ Khaled, though, is very interested in joining NASCAR and joining the sport. Now let's talk about Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez is likely returning to Trackhouse Racing in 2025. It's unclear how long the extension is going to be, but Daniel Suarez clarified this past week, speaking about Pockers, that he's very close to signing an extension. Many believe or speculate that Daniel Suarez is going to sign an extension for at least 1 to 2 years and will continue driving the number 99 car for Trackhouse Racing in the 2025 season. Now let's talk about Kurt Busch. Early in this year around the Las Vegas weekend, Kurt Busch teased potentially returning to NASCAR in a one-off or two-off on his social media page. Now this could just mean he's coming back to the broadcast booth in some sort of capacity because he did a really good job broadcasting with Fox last year, but it seems like Kurt Busch is interested in returning in some sort of capacity. I think Kurt Busch could come back in the future, and he's definitely interested in making a return to NASCAR. Now let's talk about Austin Dillon. Early in this offseason, there was chatter and rumblings that Austin Dillon could retire at the end of this year. However, it sounds like that Austin Dillon is good to go, as Jordan Bianchi reported about 3 or 4 weeks ago that Austin Dillon has signed a multi-year contract extension with Richard Childress Racing. He'll continue driving 3-car at least to the 2026 or 2027 season and probably won't be retiring for the not-so-distant future. Austin Dillon, while he's not been great this year, he'll continue driving the number 3 car at least through the 2025 and 2026 seasons. There's been a lot of talk about Andretti Global, about them potentially coming to NASCAR. Now, it's no secret that Andretti is interested in going to Formula One, and they're desperately trying to get into Formula One really heavily. But they're also trying to join NASCAR as well. I think if Honda ends up joining the sport, I think they could have Spire Motorsports potentially work with them and move over there, especially likely not having an association with Trackhouse at the end of this year. I think this is a way that Andretti Global could join and work in NASCAR. During the Sebring weekend, it was reported by multiple reporters that RFK Racing representatives were spotted in the IMSA paddock. And it's no secret that Brad Keselowski is looking to expand RFK Racing to a 3-car operation. And it could potentially happen in 2025, but also it sounds like we're not entirely sure if that's going to be the case, because Brad is saying he needs to have $30 million if he wants to expand. But if he is to expand, he could have someone like a Matt Benedetto or Haley Deegan or someone out of left field potentially get in this seat. Nonetheless, RFK Racing is looking to expand next season. Speaking of Matt DiBenedetto, it's been reported that Matt DiBenedetto wants to stay with Viking Motorsports and he'll stay with the team throughout the rest of 2024, but he hopes to be a Viking Motorsports in the 2025 season as well as he looks to build up that program. Matt DiBenedetto's been very solid with the team so far this year, and I think there's a really good chance and possibility that he'll at least stay with Viking Motorsports through the 2024 and 2025 seasons. Now let's talk about JTG Daugherty Racing. It's been reported that Kroger could be leaving JTG Daugherty Racing at the end of this year and going over to Joe Gibbs Racing, meaning that Tad and Jody Geschecter are likely leaving JTG at the end of the year. That means there's going to be some new ownership coming into way and working with the team next season. It's unclear who that ownership could be. Maybe that's how Dale Jr. gets into sport, at least in the Cup Series per se, and we'll see what happens there. But JTG will be looking for some ownership changes in 2025. Speaking of Junior Motorsports, there's been rumor speculation that Junior Motorsports could expand to the Cup Series in 2025. But they need a charter if they're going to want to move up. Now, charters are going for $20 to $25 million. And Dale Jr. stated recently that they may not just look to basically buy a charter, but may invest into another one. So while maybe Junior Motorsports may not fully move up the Cup, they could enter as an open team in 2025. Now let's move on to talk about Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe is one of the drivers that is out at SHR at the end of the year and is looking for a seat. He's been linked to Joe Gibbs Racing, according to Bob Pockers, but also it sounds like he's a frontrunner to go to the Wood Brothers in 2025. Ford really likes Chase Briscoe. He's been doing a really good job with Ford for many years. I do expect that Chase Briscoe more than likely go over to the Wood Brothers, as Harrison Burton currently does not have a seat for the 2025 season. Now let's talk about Brody Kosecki. It was confirmed that Brody Kosecki would not be running in the Cup Series in 2024 as Will Brown is driving his seat, including this weekend at Sonoma. But he could return in 2025. It all depends on Peter Adelton's work in the Erebus Racing. We know Peter Adelton and Brody had a falling out this year. Brody seems to be interested, though, in coming over and running some more races next season. Now let's talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. It was officially confirmed about a month ago that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. signed a 3-year contract extension with JTG Daugherty Racing, driver number 47 once again. It's unclear what the sponsorship is going to look like next year with the team and what the team's even going to look like next year, but we know 100% for sure that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will be staying with this organization through at least the 2025-26 and 2027 seasons. Now let's move on to talk about Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is expected to be the odd man out as Stewart-Haas Racing won't return to SHR next year because they're shutting down. Ryan Preece may only have an opportunity going part-time next year in the 2025 season, or may be out of the sport altogether and going back to modifieds. But Ryan Preece on the hot seat, and he's looking for a job going into the 2025 calendar year. Now let's go to another Ford driver, that being Hailie Deegan. Her future is unknown past 2024, and she's been struggling immensely in the 2024 season. She could have an opportunity to move up next year if sponsorship funding comes into play with a team like Rickrow Racing, but she also could stay with AIM Racing because she does have a multi-year deal with the team. But as of right now, Hailie Deegan's future is a little uncertain, and it's unclear what she'll be doing in the 2025 season. Let's now talk about Connor Zilisch. His future past 2024 is also unknown. Many are speculating that he could be full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Junior Motorsports in 2025, as he does have a contract with Trackhouse Racing. He'll make a couple of starts with Trackhouse at the end of this year once he turns 18 years old. It is expected that Connor Zilisch will be moving up potentially full-time in 2025. Now let's talk about Hyundai. Hyundai is one of the other organizations that's in manufacturers that is interested in joining NASCAR along with Honda. If Hyundai comes into sport, more charters could be up for grabs. And it'd be very interesting to see what teams could go over at Hyundai if they join the sport. But Hyundai is certainly interested in joining NASCAR in 2025. Now let's talk about Kaulig Racing. The rumors about a month ago that Kaulig Racing could sell both of their charters at the end of this season, and they could merge with Trackhouse as well. However, Chris Rice has denied the rumors that Kaulig Racing is going to sell the charters at the end of the year. They're still expected to be a 2-car team, and they'll still be around in the Cup Series throughout the 2025 season, despite the rumors and rumblings that they could sell a charter. Let's go to Trackhouse Racing. Trackhouse Racing, we are expecting to expand in 2025 to a 3-car operation. We don't know who the driver is going to be, but they're going to have a dilemma because Daniel Suarez expects to sign a contract extension, and Ross Chastain has also got a multi-year deal with the team and organization. But Trackhouse Racing will still be at least a 3-car team in 2025, more than likely. Let's talk about one of those drivers, that being Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen could be full-time in the Cup Series in 2025. And right now, according to Bob Pockers, he's the frontrunner to take that 3rd seat. Zane Smith's been struggling immensely this year, though I do think Zane Smith, who we'll talk about, I think, in a little bit, could end up at Kaulig Racing in the future. But right now, Shane Van Gisbergen is a clear favorite and frontrunner to go up to full-time Cup racing. How he's been performing in Xfinity, he could be full-time in Cup in 2025. Legacy Motor Club is another team that is also looking to expand in 2025, though it sounds like they're not in the running to get a Stewart-Haas racing charter. But they were linked at one point to getting a charter from SHR, but as of right now, Legacy Motor Club may not expand a 3-car team, but they are interested in looking to expand in the not-so-distant future as an organization. Also, 2311 Racing, they're looking to expand in 2025, and they're one of the organizations that will be having a 3-car operation as they will get one of the Stewart-Haas Racing charters. Corey Heim is a clear favorite to get that 3rd seat, but Riley Herbst could also be another option for this team, and that could be a possibility going to 2025, but 2311 Racing is expected to expand into 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. Now let's talk about Front Row Motorsports. Front Row Motorsports has confirmed that they have purchased a charter from Stewart-Haas Racing. It will be a 3-car team in 2025. Todd Gillen will be of this team next year, and there's a lot of speculation that Josh Berry and Cole Custer could be the other 2 drivers going to Front Row next year. They bought the charters for $20 to $25 million, and they will expand going into the 2025 season. Let's go talk about a driver moving out of the team, and that is Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell confirmed about 3 weeks ago that he'll be joining Spire Motorsports in 2025, driving the number 71 car. It's unclear if he's going to bring in sponsorship funding over to the new organization next year, but Michael McDowell will be leaving to go to Spire Motorsports and driving the 71 car in the 2025 season. Now let's talk about Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton is likely out of the Wood Brothers in 2025, with Chase Briscoe being the frontrunner to go to the 21 seat next year. Harrison Burton will be looking for a job in any series next year, and we know right now Harrison Burton is likely not going to be returning to the Wood Brothers in driving a 21 car in 2025. Now let's talk about Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith could be moving up to the Cup Series in 2025 and could be taking over the 19 car next season. He's been doing a really good job in Xfinity, though he's been struggling recently, but I think that there's a good chance of possibility that Chandler Smith will be full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series with JGR if Mark Truex Jr. does in fact end up retiring. Now let's talk about Corey Heim. Corey Heim is also expecting to move up to the Cup Series in 2025 as he's the current front-runner to take over a 3rd 2311 racing car. Now, if Legacy Motor Club does in fact expand, he could go there next year, but Corey Heim more than likely will be driving for a team like 2311 Racing in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season with that team and organization. Another driver who could be in the running for that 2311 racing car is Riley Herbst. But Riley Herbst is looking to move up next year. He could go to Front Row Motorsports and could also go to Rick Ware. But he does have the terrible Herbst connection, and some have rumored that they've bought a charter, and one of those charters have been bought up by Riley Herbst's father, if I'm not mistaken. But Riley Herbst could potentially move up to the Cup Series in 2025. Another SHR driver that can be moving up is Cole Custer. He could be moving up the Cup in 2025, most likely with Front Row Motorsports. Front Row has been linked to be picking up that Tier 1 deal, and they're looking to move into SHR shop. And plus, Haas Automation is looking to continue working with Cole Custer in 2025. But Cole Custer is expected to move up next year and go to one of the Front Row cars, most likely the 34 seat. Sammy Smith could also move up as well in 2025 to a team like Kaulig Racing, or if Junior Motorsports makes the jump up next season. Sammy Smith's got sponsorship funding on the table. He's done a solid job in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I think he'd be very interesting to see him have a chance and opportunity to move up next year. Sam Mayer could also move up the Cup in 2025 with a team like Kaulig Racing or even Junior Motorsports. Sam Mayer has been doing a really good job this year in Xfinity, and he's a championship threat early in the season. Though he struggled at times this year, Sam Mayer could also move up in 2025. Now let's talk about Ryan Truex. Ryan Truex could be full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2025 with JGR. Especially if Mark Truex Jr. does return, I think there's a really strong chance possibility they'll be running full-time in Xfinity with this team next year. Ryan is a very talented driver who always gets the best out of equipment when he drives for teams like Joe Gibbs Racing. He got a win earlier this year and did an excellent job. Now let's talk about Carson Quaffle. Carson Quaffle could also be full-time with Junior Motorsports next season in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's been doing a really good job in the select races he had so far this year, and I think Carson is an extremely talented driver. He could be full-time, but also could be part-time next year in 2025. RCR is an organization that is looking to expand in 2025. They're the rumored team that could be buying the fourth charter from Stewart-Haas Racing. They've been rumored for the last few months to be expanding, and they could be expanding to a three-car team. Now, Austin Hill and also Noah Gragson could be in the running for the C, but RCR is looking to expand in 2025. Speaking of Noah Gragson, there's a lot of teams that are looking at Noah Gragson for 2025. One of those is Joe Gibbs Racing, another one is Richard Childress Racing, and another one is Trackhouse. Most likely RCR and JGR are the frontrunners, and the biggest reason is because of the Bass Pro connection. If Mark Truex Jr. sticks around, more than likely Noah Gragson is going to go to RCR because Kyle Busch is expected to return next year to RCR, and of course we are expecting that Austin Dillon to sign a multi-year extension. So Noah Gragson most likely will be going over to RCR next season with the sponsorship funding, but front row could also be an option for him next year. Now let's talk about Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar is likely returning to Spire Motorsports in 2025. It's been some rumors he could go to Trackhouse in the future, but he does have a multi-year contract with Spire Motorsports, so more than likely Carson Hocevar will be staying with Spire Motorsports long-term and likely returns to the team next season. Now let's talk about Todd Gillen. It's been confirmed that Todd Gillen has signed a multi-year contract extension with Front Row Motorsports. While we don't know how long the extension is and what number he'll be driving in 2025, most likely he'll still be in a 38 car next year, but we know he'll be sticking around and driving with Front Row in 2025. Now let's talk about Chris Buescher. It was confirmed at Darlington that Chris Buescher signed a multi-year contract extension with RFK Racing. Chris Buescher has been a really good job with RFK Racing this season and is a threat to win races on a week-by-week basis. So Chris Buescher is expected to stick around for many, many years to come, and we know he signed a multi-year deal with RFK. Now let's talk about Kyle Busch. He's interested in running the Indy 500 in 2025, and Richard Childress has publicly said that he would support Kyle Busch's opportunity to run the Indy 500 if he was to do it. I think Kyle Busch should run it. He's been my dream to see him and Kyle Larson race against each other in Indy 500. Kyle Busch is interested and could do it in 2025. Now let's talk about Carl Edwards. Now Carl Edwards is not planning to return as a driver in the Cup Series, but could be returning as a commentator to the sport. Whether that is at NBC, Fox, or TNT perhaps, Carl Edwards is interested in returning in that estimate because he really enjoyed the commentary working with Fox last year. But as of right now, he would need commitment if he wants to get back behind the wheel. But I think many of us really want to see Carl Edwards come back and at least do a one-off in the future and clear up his career. Now let's talk about Eric Almirola. Eric Almirola's name has been mentioned as a potential candidate for the 19 car next season, according to Jordan Bianchi. Eric Almirola, in my opinion, very talented race car driver, and I don't know if he would do a great job in the 19, though. There's been rumors he's been fired from JHR, but I don't think those are real rumors at this point. But as of right now, Eric Almirola is a candidate. He's got sponsorship funding with him, and I think he'd do a decent job, at least with JGR, if he drove the 19. Now let's talk about Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is close to signing an extension with 2311 Racing. It's unclear how long the extension is going to be, but I think it's going to be at least a 2 to 3 year extension. Bubba Wallace has done a really good job with 2311 Racing, and I think he'd once again do a very excellent job if he stayed with the team. We don't know when the extension is going to get announced, but Bubba Wallace is very close to signing his extension with 2311. Now let's talk about Justin Haley. There were some rumors that Justin Haley could go to RFK Racing, but he's expected to sign a contract extension with Rick Ware. He does have a multi-year deal with the team, but if Brad really wants to bring him in, he could absolutely do that. I think Justin Haley's a good driver who always gets the best out of equipment he ends up driving. Let's talk about Ryan Blaney, Scott McLaughlin. They're both looking to do Indy NASCAR double in 2025. Ryan Blaney's been wanting to do it for the last couple of years, and Scott McLaughlin's got interest in running in NASCAR. We can see both of them doing the Indy 500 next year and doing the NASCAR double in 2025 if things end up working out. It was confirmed about a week or two ago that Cam Waters will be returning to supercars in 2025. There were some rumors that Cam Waters is looking to come over and race full-time in NASCAR this upcoming season, but Cam still has a lot of interest in racing in supercars, and with his struggles at points this weekend, I can't really blame him. But Cam Waters is interested, but he will be staying in supercars at least through the 2025 calendar season. About a week or two ago, it was reported by Bob Pockers that Joseph Newgarden wants to do the Indy NASCAR double. He signed a contract extension with Team Penske, and with him now having 2 Indy 500 wins and 2 IndyCar championships, I should say, I think it would be really cool to see him do the Indy NASCAR double. He's been interested in one do NASCAR for many, many years. I want to see Joseph Newgarden do it in the near future. Now let's talk about Stewart-Haas Racing's NASCAR Xfinity Series program. They're likely going to be returning in 2025 under different ownership because the Xfinity Series Ford programs are really in a little bit of trouble at this moment. I think most likely either RFK, Front Row, or Joe Custer finds a way to bring someone else in like an AM Racing and manage them there. But there's a good chance that the SHR Xfinity programs are at least coming back in 2025. Now, with Austin Cindric picking up the win at Gateway, he's taking his name off the hot seat. There are rumors and speculation Austin Cindric could lose the seat at the end of this year by some people. I wasn't one of those people that speculated that. But with him winning at Gateway earlier this year, his name has been taken off the hot seat, and I don't think Austin Cindric will be leaving Team Penske anytime soon. Now let's talk about Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson wants to run the Indy 500 again in 2025, but with all the stuff that happened, the waiver situation, among other things, it's going to hurt his chance and opportunity to run it again next year. He does have a 2-year contract with Aaron McLaren, but again, it's still a little unknown if he's going to end up running the Indy 500. I would love to see drivers like Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace do in the future as well. But right now, Kyle Larson wants to run it. The question is, will he run it again? It's still unknown at this point, though he does have a 2-year deal with the team. Finally, let's talk about Christian Eckes. Christian Eckes could move up to the Cup Series in 2025. According to Bob Pockers, his name has been mentioned as a possible candidate to move up next season. And I think he'd be a really good candidate to potentially get a chance and opportunity to move up next year. He's a really talented driver who always gets the best out of equipment. And I think he would do a great job in Cup next year with a team like Kaulig. Actually, let's talk about Eric Jones. Eric Jones has him rumored as a candidate to potentially go to 19 next year if Mark Truex Jr. ends up retiring, though I don't think Eric Jones is going to leave Legacy at the end of this year. But I could be entirely wrong. I could see Eric Jones leaving Legacy and going to 19 car if it's an option because he does have that affiliation with driving for them in the past, in driving for them and having some success as well. So, that is the NASCAR Silly Season update. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Links goes below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about today's NASCAR Silly Season update? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later today on the channel, we have reactions to Cup Series qualifying. We'll also have reactions to SVG's performance in Portland, and we'll also have a lot of reaction videos coming this weekend as we have the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series race this weekend at Sonoma. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.